They never told you that the solution to your sluggish liver, your overworked kidneys, your thick, toxin-saturated blood was already growing in the ground. They couldn't patent it, they couldn't bottle it at $40 a capsule and put it behind a counter, so they just didn't tell you. What they gave you instead was a system designed to treat the symptom, bill you for the visit, and send you home with something that taxes the very organs you were trying to save. This video is not that system. What you are about to hear is a countdown of 5 plants, 5 biological tools that human beings used for thousands of years before the pharmaceutical industry decided that nature needed a middleman. These are not folktales. These are not wellness influencer trends. Every single plant on this list has peer-reviewed, published research sitting behind it. And every single one of them can be grown in a pot, a raised bed, or a backyard in most of the continental United States. If you have a liver that is struggling under the weight of processed food, alcohol, or environmental chemicals, if your kidneys are working overtime, filtering what the modern world keeps pumping into your body, if your blood is carrying a load it was never designed to carry, these plants are your answer. And if none of that applies to you yet, consider this your biological insurance policy, because the body does not send a warning letter, it sends a crisis. If you are done playing the industrial game, join this community. Hit subscribe, because this channel exists for one reason: to hand you back the knowledge they spent a century trying to bury. Let's begin the countdown. Number 5, burdock root. The industrial problem. Your blood is a highway. And right now, for most Americans eating a standard diet, that highway is carrying refined sugars, synthetic preservatives, heavy metal residue from tap water, and the metabolic waste your liver is too overwhelmed to fully process. The result is not dramatic. It is slow. It is skin that breaks out for no reason. It is fatigue that coffee cannot fix. It is a body that feels older than it should. The botanical hero burdock root Arctium lapa has been used as a blood purifier in traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic practice, and Native American herbalism for over 2,000 years. But this is not about tradition. This is about mechanism. Burdock root contains a class of compounds called polyacetylenes and sesquiterpene lactones that have demonstrated direct hepatoprotective, that means liver protecting activity. It is also dense with inulin, a prebiotic fiber that feeds the gut microbiome responsible for phase 2 liver detoxification. When your gut flora is compromised, your liver's second detox pathway collapses. Burdock helps rebuild that foundation. A 2011 study published in the International Journal of Molecular Sciences confirmed that burdock root extract significantly reduced liver damage markers in animal models exposed to acetaminophen toxicity, one of the leading causes of acute liver failure in the United States. The reduction in oxidative stress was measurable and significant. For prevention, for those of you who do not yet have a liver problem but want to keep it that way, burdock root tea or tincture taken 3 to 4 times per week acts as a slow, consistent sweep of your bloodstream. Think of it as a biological oil change. You do not wait for the engine to seize before you change the oil. You can grow burdock in deep, loose soil. It needs at least 12 inches of depth because the taproot runs long. It is a biennial, meaning it completes its life cycle over 2 years. Harvest the root in the first autumn for maximum medicinal potency. In many parts of the American Midwest and Northeast, burdock grows wild along roadsides and fence lines, which means it is also entirely free. Number 4, dandelion. The industrial problem. Your kidneys filter approximately 180 liters of blood every single day, every day. And they do it while managing fluid balance, blood pressure regulation, and electrolyte control simultaneously. The modern diet, high sodium, low potassium, chronically dehydrated, forces the kidneys into a state of constant compensatory overdrive. Over time, that overdrive creates the conditions for stones, chronic kidney disease, and hypertension. The botanical hero, Taraxacum officinale, the plant your neighbor sprays with herbicide every spring, the plant the lawn care industry has spent decades teaching you to hate. Dandelion root and leaf is one of the most well-documented natural diuretics on the planet, And unlike pharmaceutical diuretics, it replaces the potassium it causes you to excrete. It does not rob the system it is trying to help. A 2011 clinical study published in the Journal of Alternative and Complementary Medicine demonstrated that dandelion leaf extract produced a statistically significant increase in urinary frequency and volume in human subjects within a single day of consumption. The kidneys were flushed, the fluid moved, and the potassium levels remained stable. The dandelion root, separately, has shown liver-specific benefits stimulating bile production and flow, which is the liver's primary mechanism for exporting fat-soluble toxins out of the body. A sluggish bile system is a backed-up detox system. Dandelion root unsticks it. If you do not have kidney issues yet, this plant is your insurance. A daily cup of dandelion leaf tea keeps the kidneys in a state of gentle, consistent activity rather than dormant accumulation. Number 3, milk thistle. The industrial problem. Right now, somewhere in your liver, there are cells called hepatocytes doing the most thankless job in the human body. They are processing every glass of wine you ever had, every ibuprofen you took for a headache, every pesticide residue on that non-organic strawberry, every synthetic fragrance your lungs pulled in from a scented candle. The liver has no pain receptors. It cannot tell you it is struggling. By the time liver disease shows up on a blood panel, up to 70% of liver function is already gone. 70%. And the industry's answer to that is a transplant list. The botanical hero, Silybum marianum, milk thistle. Specifically, the compound silymarin, a flavonolignin complex extracted from the seeds, is the most extensively researched hepatoprotective substance in botanical medicine. Not one of the most researched. The most. The mechanism is three-pronged, and it is extraordinary. First, silymarin stabilizes the outer membrane of liver cells, physically blocking toxins from entering. Second, it accelerates the regeneration of damaged liver tissue by stimulating protein synthesis inside hepatocytes. Third, it is a potent antioxidant that neutralizes the free radicals produced during phase 1 liver detoxification, the phase that, paradoxically, generates its own toxic byproducts before phase 2 can neutralize them. A landmark meta-analysis published in the American Journal of Gastroenterology reviewed 35 clinical trials on silymarin and concluded that it produced measurable improvements in liver enzyme levels, specifically ALT and AST in patients with alcoholic liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, and toxic hepatitis. 35 trials. This is not anecdote. This is a body of evidence the size of a mountain. For prevention for the viewer who drinks socially, takes over-the-counter medication regularly, or simply lives in an industrialized environment with unavoidable chemical exposure, milk thistle seed taken daily is a structural investment in your liver's longevity. It is not doing something dramatic. It is maintaining the machinery that keeps everything else alive. Milk thistle is extraordinarily easy to grow in the United States. It tolerates poor soil, drought, and neglect. It self-seeds aggressively. Plant it once, and it will come back every year without asking for anything. The seeds, the medicinal part, are harvested when the flower head dries to a silver-white plume in late summer. Grind them and add them to smoothies, oatmeal, or press them into a tincture with grain alcohol. The silymarin is fat-soluble, meaning it absorbs better when taken with food containing healthy fat. A tablespoon of ground flaxseed alongside your milk thistle is not an accident. It is a delivery system. Number 2, nettle. The industrial problem. Heavy metals. This is the conversation the wellness industry keeps dancing around because the full implications of it are deeply uncomfortable. Lead from old pipes. Arsenic in rice-based products. Cadmium in cigarette smoke and commercial fertilizers. Mercury from seafood. These metals accumulate in soft tissue, in the kidneys, in the liver, in the blood itself, and they do not leave on their own. They disrupt enzyme function. They interfere with red blood cell production. They compete with essential minerals like zinc, calcium, and iron for absorption. The result is a body that is technically fed but functionally starved. The botanical hero, Urtica dioica, stinging nettle. This plant is one of the most nutrient-dense organisms on the planet, and its mechanism for blood and kidney support is both nutritive and active. Nettle is extraordinarily high in chlorophyll, the molecule that is structurally almost identical to human hemoglobin, differing only in that hemoglobin carries iron at its center while chlorophyll carries magnesium. When you flood your bloodstream with chlorophyll, you are essentially handing your blood-building system a direct template. Iron levels rise, oxygen carrying capacity improves, the fatigue that has been sitting on your chest for years begins to lift. But Nettle's detox mechanism goes deeper than nutrition. A 2013 study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology demonstrated that stinging nettle extract exhibited significant nephroprotective, kidney-protecting activity in models of chemically induced kidney damage. The researchers identified flavonoids and polyphenols in nettle as the primary agents responsible for reducing oxidative stress markers in kidney tissue. The kidneys, like the liver, are under constant oxidative assault from the modern environment. Nettle is a shield. Additionally, nettle is a natural diuretic that, unlike dandelion's primary action on fluid volume, specifically increases the kidney's filtration rate of uric acid and creatinine. Elevated creatinine is the first clinical sign of kidney stress. Elevated uric acid is the driver of gout, kidney stones, and systemic inflammation. Nettle addresses both simultaneously. For those of you not yet experiencing symptoms, nettle tea consumed 4 to 5 times per week is a consistent, low-cost kidney maintenance protocol that requires nothing more than a pot of boiling water. If you have a garden or even a shaded corner of a yard, nettle grows prolifically, returns every spring, and costs you nothing after the first planting. Harvest the young tops in spring wearing gloves, the sting is neutralized completely by heat or drying, and you have a medicinal crop that will outlast the garden itself. One more note on nettle. It is also one of the highest plant sources of bioavailable iron on Earth, making it particularly critical for women experiencing heavy menstrual cycles, anyone recovering from anemia, or anyone whose blood work consistently shows low ferritin despite iron supplementation. The synthetic iron supplements sold in pharmacies are poorly absorbed and frequently cause gastrointestinal distress. Nettle does not. And now we arrive at the plant that closes this countdown. The one that was not simply used by one culture or one tradition, but by virtually every advanced civilization that ever developed a system of medicine. The one that modern researchers keep returning to because every time they look closer, they find another mechanism they did not expect. The one the industry cannot touch because it grows in every climate zone in the continental United States. It costs almost nothing to cultivate, and its active compounds have been documented in the scientific literature for over 4 decades. Number 1, cilantro and chlorella protocol. Before you click away, hear the science, because what I am about to tell you is not a smoothie trend. It is a 2-stage biological extraction system that researchers have been studying since the 1990s, and the implications of what they found should have been front-page news. Here is the problem it solves. Heavy metals, specifically mercury, lead, arsenic, and aluminum, do not simply pass through the body. They bind to sulfur-containing proteins in your liver cells, your kidney tubules, and your neurological tissue. Once bound, they are extraordinarily difficult to remove through normal metabolic processes. The body's own detoxification pathways were not designed for the industrial-scale metal exposure that defines the 21st century American environment. Contaminated municipal water systems, aluminum in cookware and food packaging, mercury in dental, amalgam fillings, and large fish. Lead in soil near old housing stock. The exposure is not hypothetical, it is daily. It is cumulative. And it is silent. This is where the 2-plant protocol enters. Coriandrum sativum cilantro contains a specific aldehyde compound called dodecanol and a suite of polyphenols that researchers at the National Institute of Health in Japan first identified in 1995 as capable of mobilizing heavy metals out of deep tissue storage. The mechanism is called chelation, the same mechanism used in emergency medical settings with synthetic agents like EDTA for acute heavy metal poisoning. Cilantro performs a gentler, sustained version of this process naturally. A study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology confirmed that cilantro extract accelerated the excretion of lead and mercury through the urine in animal models, with measurable reductions in tissue metal concentration over a 3-week protocol. But here is the critical detail that most people miss, and this is the detail that separates a functional protocol from a useless one. When cilantro mobilizes heavy metals out of tissue storage, it releases them into the bloodstream for excretion. If there is no binding agent present in the digestive tract to capture those mobilized metals, they can be reabsorbed through the gut wall before they exit the body. The mobilization without the capture is not just ineffective. It can temporarily redistribute metals to other tissues. This is why cilantro alone is considered an incomplete protocol. The binding agent is chlorella, a single-celled freshwater algae with a uniquely structured cell wall that has demonstrated a remarkable ability to physically bind to heavy metals in the digestive tract and carry them out of the sol body through elimination. A 2003 study published in the Journal of Medicinal Food showed that chlorella supplementation significantly reduced the tissue concentration of dioxins and heavy metals in human subjects over a 12-week period. The cell wall of chlorella acts like a molecular magnet. It captures what the cilantro has mobilized and escorts it to the exit. The protocol used in research contexts and adopted by integrative medicine practitioners works as follows. Fresh cilantro, not dried, not extract, but fresh leaf consumed daily in meaningful quantity. Not a garnish, not 3 leaves on a taco. A full quarter cup of densely packed fresh cilantro daily, incorporated into food or blended into a smoothie with a fat source for optimal absorption of its fat-soluble compounds. Alongside this, chlorella in tablet or powder form taken simultaneously or within the same meal window. The two agents work in concert, one mobilizing, one capturing, completing a full extraction cycle that the body cannot perform on its own under modern conditions. For the homesteader or the backyard grower, cilantro is one of the fastest and easiest crops in existence. It germinates in 7 to 10 days, reaches harvestable size in 3 to 4 weeks, and can be succession planted every 2 weeks for a continuous supply through spring and fall. It bolts in summer heat, so plant it in partial shade during warmer months or focus your heavy harvest seasons on April through June and September through November. A single 4x4 raised bed can supply a full household's medicinal quantity of fresh cilantro for most of the growing season at virtually zero cost. Chlorella cannot be homegrown practically. It requires controlled aquatic cultivation, but it is widely available in bulk powder form at a fraction of the cost of pharmaceutical chelation therapy, which runs into thousands of dollars per treatment course and carries significant side effect risks. Now, before the final statement of this video, a word that belongs here not as a legal formality, but as a genuine expression of what this channel stands for. Everything documented in this video is a tool for self-reliance. It is information designed to help you build a body that is harder to break, a system that does not depend entirely on an industry that profits from your dysfunction. But these plants are not emergency intervention. If you are experiencing acute liver failure, kidney failure, heavy metal poisoning at crisis level, you need emergency medical care, and you need it immediately. Self-reliance means building resilience before the crisis arrives, not refusing help when the crisis is already at the door. These are preventative tools, maintenance tools, long game tools. Use them as such. The civilization that forgot how to grow its own medicine became entirely dependent on those who sell it. You now have 5 reasons to never be that civilization again.